Welcome to CNN Student News. We're wrapping up April by starting in Syria. That country's civil war has been going on since 2011. It started with people calling for Syria's president to leave power. Yesterday, the violence targeted the Syrian prime minister. Wael al-Halki reportedly survived a bombing attack on his motorcade. Several other people were killed or injured, and no one immediately took responsibility for this attack. Last week, the U.S. government announced that it had evidence of chemical weapons being used in Syria. It wasn't clear which side in the war was using these weapons. President Obama has previously said that chemical weapons would cross a so-called red line and might push the U.S. to take more action in Syria. A Russian official warned countries like the U.S. against using the issue of chemical weapons to overthrow Syria's government.
See if you can ID me. I'm part of the U.S. government whose leader is a member of the presidential cabinet. Right now, that leader is Ray LaHood. My agencies include the Federal Aviation Administration and the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration. I'm the U.S. Department of Transportation, and I was established in 1966.
Secretary LaHood has run the Transportation Department for 4 years, but in January he announced his plan to step down along with some other cabinet members. That's Secretary LaHood on the right side of your screen behind President Obama. And on the left side, Charlotte, North Carolina Mayor Anthony Foxx. He's the president's pick to be the next Secretary of Transportation. But the president doesn't get the final say on that. It's the U.S. Senate's job to approve presidential nominees. If Foxx is approved, he'll be the first African-American added to the president's second-term cabinet. Foxx has been the mayor of Charlotte for nearly 4 years, but he doesn't have a background in transportation issues. George Washington was a great leader and a great president. But when I reach in my wallet, I'd rather see Ben Franklin. That semi-smiling C-note smirk seems to say, I'm 100 times better. It's certainly more popular overseas. Of all the American $100 bills in existence, 65% of them are held outside the U.S. That's part of the reason why the Federal Reserve is changing it. It's the 4th time they've done this. They're trying to make it easier to be sure a bill is genuine and harder to counterfeit it. The new 100 has a blue ribbon. Why? Because it's a winner. No, it's actually a 3D strip that appears to change when you move it, adding a new dimension of security. Same idea behind the bell in the inkwell. The Federal Reserve plans to start circulating the new Benjamins this October after spending more than 10 years coming up with the changes. Maybe not everyone agrees they're needed, but Benny himself once said, when you're finished changing, you're finished. And his bill shows no signs of folding. All right, next up today, Jason Collins. He did something yesterday that hasn't happened in the NFL, NBA, NHL, or MLB. He announced that he's gay. Collins has played in the National Basketball Association for 12 seasons. Other athletes have said they're gay after they've left pro sports. But Collins is the first one to do that as an active player. Here's some of what he wrote in the magazine article where he made his announcement. Quote, I didn't set out to be the first openly gay athlete playing in a major American team sport. Since I am, I'm happy to start the conversation. I wish I wasn't the kid in the classroom raising his hand and saying, I'm different. If I had my way, someone else would have already done this. Nobody has, which is why I'm raising my hand. One of Collins' former teammates was asked about yesterday's announcement.
For Jason, he felt it was the right time, the right place, the right situation. He felt comfortable enough in his skin. At the end of the day, man, I did a lot of work in the community with him. He's a great guy in the community. He's a great teammate, a great locker room guy. And so at the end of the day, his sexual orientation doesn't matter to me.
As a guy who's been interested in player development, on Twitter, it seems like most players are very supportive, very encouraging. So are you not surprised by that?
No, man. I mean, this is a brotherhood. It's a small fraternity of NBA ball players, and we all go through different challenges. We all come from different backgrounds, different settings, different countries, different religions, different races, etc. And this is just another testament to David Stern and the work that he's done in our NBA, because we're a brotherhood. And at the end of the day, if one of our brothers go through something, we want to be there to support them.
How ready do you think the NBA and NBA players are for this subject matter in the locker room situation?
Yeah, well, I'm not sure. I think there's always going to be ignorance in every platform. I think there's always going to be, some reservations, because, for whatever stigma comes along with that.
What's your take on this? We've got a new blog post at cnnstudentnews.com. It's where you can share your thoughts on Jason Collins and his announcement.
Today's shout out goes out to Mr. Green's class at Mojave High School in North Las Vegas, Nevada, who wrote the I, Robot collection of short stories. You know what to do. Was it Isaac Asimov, Edgar Allan Poe, Ray Bradbury, or Will Smith? You've got 3 seconds. Go. Isaac Asimov's I, Robot stories have had a big influence on science fiction since they were first published in 1950. That's your answer, and that's your shout out.
Asimov was known for combining science fact with science fiction. The robots in this mechanical melee are the real deal. This is the first robotics competition. First meaning for inspiration and recognition of science and technology. More than 10,000 students from around the world came to St. Louis, Missouri to show off their engineering abilities. They had to design robots to perform certain tasks like shooting frisbees into a goal or placing rings on a rack. One of this year's winners talked about what it takes.
A lot of hours of, just dedication to our team. We had a teacher strike in our region, and we had to build a robot out of a student's basement. And to think that we came this far is just amazing. I'm just ecstatic for this experience.
In the future, some of those student engineers could work on the kind of potentially life-changing technology you're about to see. Nick Glass went to check it out.
So this is your bionic arm.
Yes, we call this the modular prosthetic limb, or MPL. This is the most sophisticated arm in the world. It can do virtually everything that your natural limb can do.
That's quite a claim.
Yes, it is. This arm has 26 individual joints that we can control.
Has there ever been an arm quite like it?
Never. So this arm is intended to work with your brain just like your natural arm works.
The bionic arm weighs much the same as a normal one, about 9 pounds, and it can mimic pretty much anything a normal hand can do, has almost the same dexterity. 26 joints, 100 sensors as we've been told, also 17 motors and a tiny computer built into the palm of the hand. The effect is almost musical. It was time to have a go myself, to slip on a special glove with sensors linked up to the bionic arm.
How like my real arm and hand is this?
It can do virtually anything that you can do with your natural hand. Okay, and you can move your wrist, right? It's very fluid.
My goodness, I could wave like the Queen.
That's right. You can think about things like, playing the piano eventually, doing very complex types of things.
You imagine someone with bionic arms playing the piano?
I think we'll get there someday. We're not there yet, but we'll get there.
Do you feel privileged?
Oh yes, very privileged. Very privileged to be able to do this, to show, any upper amputee person, what they'll be able to do. What's coming their way. It's not going to be, way in the future. The future's coming now.
Want to see your favorite teacher mentioned on CNN Student News? You'd better get moving. Teacher Appreciation Week is next week. The deadline to send us your Teacher Appreciation iReports is this Friday. Get all the details by checking out the link in the resources box of our homepage. And teachers, we want you to visit that box too. It's where you'll find a link to share your thoughts on today's show. Finally today, an illuminating story out of Italy. See that orange glow in the background of this video? That's not a light show or special effects display. It's a tower of lava that's hot. This is Mount Etna, the highest active volcano in Europe. Active is right. This is the volcano's 13th eruption this year. Experts say it won't cause any problems for local towns or residents, but it might be kind of difficult to ignore, especially for our viewers there. If you're talking to someone when the local mountain just bursts into fire, it might be a viable interruption. Think you could ignore it? Nah, that lovely story is gonna flow right into us saying goodbye. Have a great day.